Alright guys, so welcome to today's tutorial. Right here in today's tutorial we will take a look at how this string parasite move was made. So if you want to have this model, then check out the link in the description, subscribe to the email newsletter and receive the link to the pastebin, which holds all of the links of each model I've created. So of each newer model, of course, okay? So this tutorial right here, as I told you, is going to be about the string parasite move, and I wanted to say a few things about it. So this thing is still a bit glitchy, so there are some bugs, and we are going to fix them within the next days. Okay, I'm going to be uploading a video in which I'll try to find and fix those bugs. Okay, but in today's video, I'm just going to explain to you how I've created it. Okay, so what we have is basically a local script, a screen GUI, and a server-sided script, and a remote event, obviously. What happens is that you click a key, in this case the Q key, on your keyboard. This is detected via the local script. This one fires us to the remote event, which leads to a reaction of the server script. And this server script then is going to shoot out a projectile towards your mouse's direction. And if you're able to hit someone, then what happens is actually pretty interesting. Your character is being cloned. So what you guys see as controlling is literally just an illusion. So what happens basically is that my character has been cloned, okay? My actual character is right here. The enemy's character has been cloned as well, and is actually right here. And this is a cloned version of the enemy's character, okay? So my actual character is basically... the cloned version of the enemy is basically valid to my actual character, which is located right here. And what happens is that the cloned version only replicates all of the animations my actual character does, okay? And people literally think that the actual character of ours is right here, while it is right here, okay? But we are still able to play some animations on this one. So I'm gonna be doing that within the next versions of this model right here, because this model has a lot of potential, guys, okay? We can add a lot of stuff regarding the controls, regarding the animations right here. So you guys might have seen that I've tried to play around with the ropes a little, so I wanted to add a rope. But yeah, we're gonna do that later. And yeah, this is basically how it works. And once you've found an enemy, the stop button appears, and then you can click stop again to stop controlling that person. As you can see, we have a bunch of glitches in here. Can load animation clip provider service. We're gonna fix them in the next video, not in this one. I'm just gonna explain to you how this stuff works in this video, alright? So, let's take a look inside of the local script. What happens right here is that we have two variables. The first one is the user input service, which is responsible for detecting the user's input. You can refer to the user input service by doing get service user input service. The second variable is our remote event right here, which is needed in order to communicate from the client to the server. And we are referring to it by referring to the replicated storage first of all, and then wait for child Parasite, which is the name of our remote event, obviously. Now, next thing is that we are making use of an event of our user input service called input begin. Input begin is basically when an input has been done on your input. So so basically when an input has been done, which can be a key press, mouse button press, whatsoever, okay? So when you do these types of things, then input begin is being triggered, and then you receive the input as an argument, and also something called game processed event, which basically tells you whether this input was done while interacting with in-game elements or not. And by this fact, you can easily conclude whether this input was done on purpose or not. So if not GPE means if this input was not done while interacting with in-game elements, means this input was done on purpose. Then we want to continue with the rest right here. And this part basically checks if the input is our Q key. If that is the case, then we fire this remote event right here with a table as an argument. And this table contains something called what, which tells the server script later on what to do. In this case, shoot Parasite. The second argument is called mouse, which delivers us the position where our mouse was at. So gameplay is local player, get mouse gets the mouse that hit is basically the area where our mouse is located. So this would be hit right here, so where my mouse is at, and .p returns it as a vector. Okay, now let's take a look inside of the server script. This one is a little bit bigger, but we'll hopefully get hold of it. So what happens right here is that we have the remote event again defined as a variable, and the second thing is called Parasite, which is a table, and it is empty by default. And this table will be filled up with our player's name and the enemy we are controlling. And that is very important because we need to know whether this player is already controlling someone or not. So for example, when we want to stop controlling an enemy, then we have to know, is this player even controlling an enemy? And if so, then who is this player controlling? Okay, and that is important, and that's the reason why we save this information inside of that table. Okay, now remote event on server event, and yeah, what happens right here is basically when you fire server and remote event, then this event right here is going to react to it, and you can receive the player who has fire server automatically, so you do not even have to enter the player in here. But what you receive manually is the args, so the arguments, and that is basically this table. Okay, now if args.what equals shoot parasite and parasite player name is nil. So what this says is that whether the task right here, which this remote event has been fire servered with, is shoot parasite, okay, and whether there's no parasite player thing in here. So what this means is that whether our player has no or has no control of anybody yet. So as I've told you, this table is then going to contain our player's name equals the person the player is controlling, and what we are basically checking in here is that there is no entry with our player, which means that our player is not controlling anybody. So this script as of now can only control one player. That is the reason why we are checking this. Okay. All right. Now another variable called goal pos, which is goal position, is gonna be where the mouse was located at. So you guys remember it. So this part right here, and then we are creating a new instance, which is gonna be a part, and this part is this part right here. Let me show it to you. So this part is this projectile, which is, as you can see, flying right here. And yeah, it is anchored. Nah, wait, is it anchored? Yeah, it is anchored. Can collide as false, materials neon, color is institutional white, top surface, bottom surface is smooth and outlines. The C-frame, that is actually... Nah, wait, this isn't it. Nah, wait, it is interesting. So the C-frame is actually our humanoid report C-frame multiplied with another C-frame, which makes it move in front of us, okay? But this is only the location. You can also rotate this, okay? And that is actually quite interesting because we are then applying another C-frame onto it, which has its current position as the base, and then the goal position as the position where this part is rotated towards to, okay? So basically this part is located in front of us, but it's rotated towards the mouse's position. And then we have this body velocity, which makes this projectile, this part, just fly towards that position, okay? So body velocities are deprecated, I know that, but I don't really know any other alternatives. So there is this new body mover, but I'm honest with you, I don't know how to use that. I don't know. And I've watched some tutorials on, but I still don't know. Yeah, blame me for that, I'm sorry. And yeah. So, yeah, body velocity. Just set the max force to huge on all of the 3 axes. Set the velocity to the look vector of our part C-frame. Multiply it with any number, but I recommend you, the higher the number is, the faster this projectile will move. So keep an eye on that. And make sure to unanchor the part afterwards. So you guys might ask, okay, so why do we even anchor it in the first place? That is because to adjust the position, the rotation, so that it doesn't move down or anything else, okay? And now we have to unanchor the part, otherwise it will not fly. Okay, so we are right here using a touched event, and finally this works totally fine. Okay, so axe touched, connect, hit. What happens in here is that when this projectile has been touched, we receive the thing which has touched it in here, which is then called hit. Now what I've done right here is that I have differentiated. The first differentiation is if hit transparency equals 0. I've done this because I don't want any hitboxes to be detected, okay? so hitboxes are usually invisible. So if the thing we're hitting is not invisible, then we want to continue. And if the thing we're hitting is a child of a model and contains a humanoid inside of that model, then we want to continue. So what this basically tells us is that this hit is actually a body part, which could be inside of a character model, okay? But to verify whether this is a character model or not, we are checking if this hit, no, if the potential character model contains an instance, which is a humanoid, okay? And that is basically the ultimate verification for us to tell whether this is a body part or not, whether this is, first of all, body part, but also whether this is located inside of a character model. And if that is the case, then we want to destroy Axe just to avoid other detections to be made. And then we are fire clienting to this remote event. And what happens right here, so when you fire client, you basically communicate from server to client, okay? And you need the player you are fire clienting to, which is our player right here, which has done this attack. And then you need this arguments table in here again, which tells the script what to do. And what in this case is stop button. Now if we take a look in here, we have a screen GUI, which is then going to be responsible to react to it. So we have this remote event and remote on client event, so this obviously reacts to each fire client. Then we have this args argument right here again. If args stop button, then we just turn this text button right here, which is our stop button, to visible. Okay, now we can easily check if this button has been clicked. And if that is the case, then we turn it back to invisible, and then we fire server with stop Parasite as the what argument. And we will get to this soon. So to the stop Parasite thing, we have to understand how this Parasite thing is done in the first place in order to understand how to stop it. And also, this button can only be clicked when it is visible. That is the reason why we do not have to make any funny checks whether this button is visible or not, okay? Yeah. So, first thing, we are creating a folder inside of the workspace, which is gonna have the name of our player's name with Parasite folder at the end of it. And then we are creating this entry I was talking about. So player name is then gonna be hit parrot, which is gonna be the character model of the person we've just hit. Okay, so we are then having an entry in here. And yeah, this step right here is pretty important. So you aren't really able to clone the character because archivable is set to false. Set it to true to be able to clone it. So that is what I'm doing right here. So player character archivable true, local fake char, and then our character's reference dot clone, that's colon clone, parented to the folder, and set the name to something which is not our player's name. In this case, it is our player's name with fake at the end of it, and then make sure that the human root part is set to true. Otherwise, you're able to move or push that fake character around. Okay. Now in here, we are having a loop through our actual character, and get descendants means that it literally loops through anything. So not only this, but also everything inside of here, everything inside of there, and so on and so on and so on. And we are checking if the thing we're currently at is either a mesh part, a part, or a decal. And if that is the case, then we are setting it to invisible. So that is just to make our actual character invisible in order to be able to weld the fake character of the enemy to our character, so that it looks like we are moving around with the character of the enemy. Okay, so while I'm explaining this, I'm realizing that I haven't really paid attention to a lot of features, and I'm really gonna do that in tomorrow's video. So tomorrow's video is gonna be about fixing all of the glitches, okay, and adding some stuff I thought which was added, but it is not really added, okay. But we're gonna do that in tomorrow's video. So player character humanoid root part dot cframe equals hit parent humanoid root part cframe. This is needed to position our invisible character to the other person's character, because otherwise it will look like then that the other person was teleported to our character, which is obviously not the case. Okay, so we are going to control the person. That's the reason why we are going to go into the person's body. Okay, right here, fake character 2 is gonna be the enemy's character model right here. So very important, destroy the humanoid, otherwise you cannot really play any animations. Now wait, you can, but you will have problems moving around with that character then after it has been velded. Okay, that is pretty important. So we are cloning it, we are destroying the humanoid, we are parenting it to the folder, we are adding this fake text at the end of the name, and we are setting the humanoid root part of the actual enemy's character model to true. Now right here, we are creating two parts, which are those two parts which stick out of the torso. So those are supposed to be some strings, so some kind of effects. Okay. Wait, where is the veld? Okay, it's right here. Then right here, we are creating another animation controller instance inside of the enemy's fake character in order to be able to play the animation, since we have deleted the humanoid. And right here, we are loading an animation called controlled, and that is the animation where the enemy has its arms sticked out. Okay, and we load that animation on the fake character's animation control. That is important. Now right here, we have a coroutine. As you guys know, this coroutine runs in the background, so this part basically doesn't interrupt the rest. But I think that is actually not necessary, so we could even delete this, I think. So I think that this is not necessary. You can leave this out, but I'm gonna keep it anyways. Yeah. Now right here, now wait, I have to explain this part. So what happens in here is basically player character humanoid animator animation plate. So this detects when an animation has been played on our actual character, okay, our player's character. And if that happens, then we receive the animation track, so the loaded version of the animation in here. And if this folder exists, okay, and if it hasn't been deleted yet, then we're gonna load this animation right here of our character with the animation controller of our enemy's fake character. And then we're gonna make it play on the enemy's fake character. And once the animation stops for our actual character, we're gonna stop it for the fake character, of our enemy's fake character. What this basically means is that any animation we play on our invisible character model is then being played on the enemy's character model. And this basically means that when we walk around with an invisible character, then our fake character, so enemy's fake character, which has been welded to our body, also plays the walking animation. Okay, that is the clue. So that is how you replicate the animations, and that is important. Okay, now in here we are looping through the enemy's character, and we are basically performing the same thing as we have done up here. So we are setting everything to transparent. And right here, we are looping through the fake character of our enemy. And if this thing is if the thing we're currently at is a mesh part or a part, we are making sure that it is not anchored, messes is true, and can collide as false. That is just to not mess with collisions whatsoever. And then right here, down here, we are welding the fake character to our character right here. So port 0 is always the port you're welding something onto, and port 1 is the port you're welding. In this case, we are welding the enemy's fake character to our actual character. That is the reason why port 0 is our character's humanoid root port, and port 1 is the parent of W, which is the weld, and so the parent is the enemy's fake character. So this else case is yeah, if this is not met as a requirement, then we are gonna delete the projectile anyways. Okay, now down here I'm gonna show you how to stop this parasite move, and then we're gonna end the video. So if stop parasite is the what argument, and there is an entry in this parasite folder, then we are gonna check if this parasite folder, parasite table, I meant parasite table up here, so this one. Okay, now, so we are trying to refer to this parasite folder we have created up there, and if it exists, then we're gonna perform a bunch of stuff in here. Okay, so first thing is we are looping through our character, okay, via get descendants. And if the thing we are currently at is a mesh port or port, then we are setting the transparency to 0, means it then turns invisible. But if the name of this port is humanoid root port, then we are setting it back to 1. so it means to invisible. And we do that because the humanoid word part is by default always invisible. Okay, now, else if the thing we're currently at is called face, which is then gonna be our face decal, then we want to turn it to 0 as well. So this is not really included in this part because it's because the decal is obviously not a mesh part or a part. That is the reason why we have to do this manually in here again. Now right here, by doing Parasite player name, we actually refer to the enemy we have to control over, and then we are setting its humanoid word part anchored to not false. Down here, we have the same loop, but this time for the enemy's character model. And then we have something called old C-frame. As you guys know, we have swept positions, more or less. So we are then saving the player character's humanoid C-frame, which is the actual enemy C-frame, and then we are swapping them. So player character humanoid word part C-frame becomes the fake character, so of our player's fake character C-frame, so the character which stays in right here, for example, while the enemy's humanoid word part C-frame becomes the old C-frame. And then after that, we are destroying the folder, and there's actually a problem to this thing, so we are not deleting the entry of this table right here, but we're going to do that in the next video, guys. With that being said, thanks for watching. Leave a like, subscribe, share this video to all your friends, leave me feedback in the comment section, guys. Take care and see you.